I'm a singer-songwriter musician, so that's my primary work, or at least it was prior to the pandemic. Still is. It's just there's very few live gigs happening. So yeah, I've been obviously growing my audience, both from doing live events, but also from various forms of online marketing over the years, social media and all the rest. But the core of that has always been kind of growing my mailing list. That's kind of been the primary center of it all. But yeah, so I'm a musician. Again, prior to the pandemic, I live in Ireland, but I would travel a lot internationally. So I basically use my email list to run campaigns to, and put together kind of just a very attractive package with a clear kind of emphasis that the reason I'm doing this is because all my gigs have dried up, and because it nurtured my audience via email mostly. That's where most of the sales came from. So when I'm researching something, it'll be a mixture of cost. Obviously will be a factor. I did look at yourself, look at a number of your competitors. I think Aweber was one of them at the time, and it was available back then. And it was I think the reason I went for GetResponse was that I think you guys were certainly competitive in cost. You were competitive when it came to increasing the size of the mailing list. That was one of the factors. I was very keen to kind of develop a system even back then where it was as much as possible on autopilot. And the new layout that you have, where you can simply drop the URL to a video, and it creates a ready-made thumbnail in the email, that seems to really gets a lot of clicks for me. Anything for me that removes the friction of communication between me and my audience is really helpful. The way I encourage them to join the mailing list is I say, listen, if you give me an email, I'll send you this whole album. I send them a series of emails over a period of about 10 days, where they get a track and a little bit of a backstory to each track with each email. So that process where they discover me for the first time on social media, they click the link, they get on the email list, and then that email sequence, then it helps without me doing anything. It helps them get nurtured and kind of become, integrated into the orbit of my world. I had the opportunity to go to New Zealand for an event. So one of the things I did is I segmented my list. I identified everybody who was in New Zealand and sent them an email and said, listen, I'm coming into New Zealand. I've got this event to do. I'm going to have some free time. If you fancy hosting a house concert, for me, that was one of the real highlights of nurturing an audience and developing a connection with my subscribers to the point where they're happy to say, yeah, we'd love you to come to our place. Basically having an automated system that exposes people to your music in the first place. A certain number of those people express enough interest to join your mailing list, and then of course some of those people then go on to become customers, and long term. I mean, I've got subscribers who've probably been with me, some of them from those 15 years ago. So the ability to automate that as much as possible is a huge time saver. Yeah. So this ability to make a living and run a business as an independent artist kind of only really exists now because of the type of thing that you guys do. The ability to have direct access to your audience, the ability to I don't want to sound too crass about it, but to monetize that as well, and create an environment where they're happy to support you. So yeah, it gives you extra time to do the things that a musician is supposed to do. Having GetResponse on board as a kind of like as a partner in that sense. I would recommend it because you guys have got a track record. I mean, I've been with you 15 years, and of course there's a huge amount of competition out there. And every time some new shiny object comes along, I kind of think, okay, I'll check that out. But it inevitably is no better than what I have with you guys. So yeah, you've got to. Sorry, I know that's more than one sentence, but in one sentence, yeah, you've proven you have a track record of innovating and kind of leading the market in terms of the features that you continue to add to your service. So yeah, and it's worked. I mean, it's proved remarkably reliable for me. I don't recall any issue with having to. I've obviously been on support to work out how to get things done, but I've never had to contact support because something was broken.